Research shows that ending a relationship with highly manipulative partner is often psychologically more difficult than leaving a healthy relationship that's simply running its course. Not because the love was deeper, but because manipulation creates confusion, dependence, and trauma bonds that make separation emotionally exhausting. Hi, I'm Kamala Harris, systemic therapist and founder of the Rebel Moms community. Every day I help women escape their emotional prisons by teaching them how to balance motherhood, feminine power, and relationships. If that sounds something like you need, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss more of this content on emotional intelligence. One of the biggest misconceptions about living a narcissistic relationship is the belief that the hardest part is to make the decision. For many women, it isn't. The hardest part it begins after the decision is made. Because ending a marriage with someone who has strong narcissistic traits is rarely a normal separation. It's often a battle for your own emotional stability. Many women imagine that once they leave, the suffering will immediately stop. But what often happens is the opposite. The moment the narcissistic partner realizes they are losing control over their relationship, the dynamic intensifies. Suddenly, the person who ignores you may desperately pursue you. The person who dismisses your feelings may suddenly promise the change. The person who never took accountability may become the victim. And this creates enormous confusions because the version of them you have been begging to see for years suddenly appears. But there is a difficult truth in there. What shows up during a separation is not always the transformation, but desperation. Because losing the relationship means losing access to the system that was serving them. And many women become trapped in this cycle. Hope returns, doubt returns, guilt returns, and they start questioning everything again. Another painful reality in their narcissistic separation often comes battles over reputation. Because control does not always end when the relationship ends. Sometimes the narrative becomes the new battlefield. You may be called selfish, cold, unreasonable, unstable. People may hear the version of the story that barely resembles the reality. And for women who spend many years trying to be understood, this can feel devastating. But one of the most important lessons in healing is this: you do not need universal agreement to know what happened to you. You do not need everyone to understand your pain for your pain to be real. And if children are involved, the emotional complexity often becomes even greater because now you're not only grieving a marriage, but you're grieving the family structure, a dream, a future you once believed in. Many women think they are grieving for the person, but they are grieving for the possibility. The hope that one day things would finally become what they needed them to be. And the grief is real because ending a narcissistic marriage is not only losing someone, but it's losing the illusion. An illusion you invested years trying to protect. And here are the things that nobody talks about. Many women expected to feel freedom immediately after leaving. Instead, they feel exhausted, numb, confused, and sometimes even lonely. Not because they made the wrong decision, but because healing takes time. When you spend years walking on eggshells, your nervous system doesn't instantly know how to relax. When you spend years down into your reality, self-trust doesn't return overnight. When you spend years fighting for crumbs of emotional connection, health, peace can feel unfamiliar. But eventually something beautiful happens. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head. You stop waiting for approval. Stop explaining your existence. Stop shrinking. And little by little, you met yourself again. The version of you that existed before the survival become your personality. The version of you that doesn't have to earn love through suffering. And this is the reality many women discover after leaving. The end of a marriage is not the end of a story. It's the beginning of coming home to yourself. And if you're already following me, congratulations. You're growing your emotional intelligence every single day. And if you're not, you might never see me again. So follow now and make your emotional maturity a lifestyle. Comment below. Emotional intelligence is my rebellion. And send this to a woman who is struggling to leave or recover a narcissistic marriage.